House will come to order. Calendar for the day. First bill on the calendar for the day is House File number 1400. The clerk will report the bill.
House File number 1400, number 1 on the calendar for the day, an act relating to health.
Recognize the author of the bill, Representative
Schomacker, Mr. Speaker.
Schomacker, to introduce his bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And members, House File 1400 is a technical fix that we have for the adult basic education reimbursement from nursing homes. Federal requirements require nursing homes to reimburse for CNA training, and we passed last year legislation to allow for adult basic education to be part of that. This just allows for the nursing facility to be able to reimburse directly with that, and I ask your support.
There are no amendments at the desk. The clerk will give the bill its third reading.
Third reading, House File number 1400.
Third reading. Discussion to the bill. Seeing none, clerk will take the roll on the bill. Clerk will close the roll. There being 130 ayes and 0 nays, the bill is passed and its title agreed to. Next bill on the calendar for the day is House File number 2047. The clerk will report the bill.
House File number 2047, number 2 on the calendar for the day, an act relating to health, the first engrossment.
Recognize the member from Washington, Representative Franke, to introduce his bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, this is House File 2047. This is the Minnesota Comprehensive Plan to end the spread of HIV and AIDS. What this bill does is it directs the Department of Health in coordination with the Department of Human Services and community stakeholders to develop a strategic and statewide plan to address the state's HIV epidemic by reducing the number of new infections and ensuring that all individuals living with HIV have access and maintain necessary medical care. Members, I'm going to give you a little history on why this is needed. Minnesota continues to see roughly 300 new HIV infections every year and has for the past 15 years. We have the knowledge and tools to significantly reduce these infections and coordinate a government and community response to make this happen. Every new HIV infection costs Minnesotans roughly $400,000 over their lifetime. So every year with 300 new infections, that adds $120 million to the expected state medical cost. So what this bill does is it requires the Commissioner of Health to submit a report to the legislator by February 1st, 2018. The report must identify certain strategies to reduce new HIV infections by 75%. The report must also identify strategies to increase the percentage of individuals living with HIV who know their serostatus to 90%. It must also increase the percentage of people living with HIV who are virally suppressed by 90%. It must also provide recommendations for optimal allocation and alignment of resources. This report must provide recommendations to ensure a coordinated statewide response. I believe that this legislation will definitely help us to further be the best defense in the fight of this disease. One of the best things that we have in the fight against this disease is knowledge and education, members. And I would just like to take a minute to thank a few people for offering me this legislation to carry. Matt Tabirin of the Minnesota AIDS Project, Chuck Peterson of Clare Housing, and a constituent of mine, Annie Elmer, who battles this disease every day. And she is a warrior. This woman fights, educates, does everything she can to make sure that this disease is brought to the light and people are educated on how they can help themselves. I would just like to also take a brief moment to thank Chair Schomacker and Chair Dean for allowing me to move this legislation forward. And with that, I will stand for questions. Thank you, members.
There are no amendments at the desk. The clerk will give the bill its third reading.
Third reading, House File Number 2047.
Third reading. I recognize the member from Olmsted, Representative Liebling.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Representative Franke. I support this legislation. I think it's a great idea. You know, yesterday when we talked about the conference committee report in Health and Human Services, we talked some about how you save money in Health and Human Services. Well, this is a way you save money by going to the front end and trying to prevent people from getting infected and treating them right away and making sure that the treatment is consistent and effective when they do get sick. So I think this is a very good strategy. I also want to encourage this body, after we pass this legislation, this just gets the Department of Health, gets them to put together this plan that Representative Franke talked about. And then, of course, we're going to need to follow the plan once it is put in place. So I hope that this body will be consistent and find the will to follow up when we get the plan back, whenever that will be. So thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Further discussion? Representative Franke.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would also just like to thank Representative Liebling for standing up and inform the members that the department has also been very helpful in working with this, and they're very committed to hosting very open process in this venture. They will be holding community meetings. They will be taking all input. They will also be setting up a website. So the information will be out there. The availability to weigh in on this issue will be there. So I look forward to hearing their report when they return it to us. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I ask you for your green vote.
Seeing no further discussion, the clerk will take the roll on the bill. Clerk will close the roll. There being 128 ayes and 0 nays, the bill is passed and its title agreed to. Next bill on the calendar for the day is House File number 2287. The clerk will report the bill.
House File number 2287, number 3 on the calendar for the day, an act relating to claims against the state, the first engrossment.
I recognize the member from Olmsted, Representative Quam, to introduce his bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. This is the annual claims bill, and with that, I'll stand for questions.
Recognize the member from Ramsey, Representative Hannepin, Representative Hillstrom.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. To the author, when this bill came before the Ways and Means Committee, we were told that there was one claim that was not included in this bill, even though the Claims Committee had approved it. Can you explain what steps have been taken, and will the other claim be paid somewhere else within the budget?
The gentleman from Olmsted, Representative Quam.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And in regards to that claim, there were discussions, and we felt it was better addressed in committees of closer jurisdiction. So that is being addressed in the jobs bill.
The lady from Hennepin, Representative Hillstrom.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. If the author would yield.
The gentleman will yield to the lady from Hennepin.
Thank you. So is it currently in the current jobs bill?
The gentleman from Olmsted, Representative Quam.
Yes.
Further questions? Seeing no amendments at the desk, the clerk will give the bill its third reading.
Third reading, House File number 2287.
Third reading, House File 2287, discussion. The clerk will take the roll. The clerk will close the roll. There being 129 ayes and 0 nays, the bill is passed and its title agreed to. The next bill on the calendar for the day is Senate File 216. The clerk will report the bill.
Senate File number 216, number 4 on the calendar for the day, an act relating to human services, the first engrossment.
The gentleman from Pine, Representative Rarick.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, this bill is a technical fix on something that we worked on last session. We were dealing with the MA liens that were placed on people's properties who were 55 years and older. They were unaware of these liens being placed on their properties, and they were not able to opt out of the MA process. So we did a correction to get them out of those liens. The CMS had one little correction for us. We had picked an effective date retroactively to January 1st of 2014. They believed it would be better if we removed that date and could go back further, so that's what this bill is doing.
Seeing no amendments at the desk, the clerk will give the bill its third reading.
Third reading, Senate File number 216.
Third reading, discussion to the bill. The clerk will take the roll. The clerk will close the roll. There being 129 ayes and 0 nays, the bill is passed and its title agreed to. The next bill on the calendar for the day is Senate File 997. The clerk will report the bill.
Senate File number 997, number 5 on the calendar for the day, an act relating to health insurance, the first engrossment.
The gentleman from Scott, Representative Albright.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. Senate File 997 is pretty straightforward. It obligates health care plans to cover prescription refills for eye drops. If you've ever tried to put just 5 drops in your eye and you get 6 or 7, you probably end up running out of your prescription before the time allotted for your prescription. And so what this allows for is for you to go back and have your pharmacist refill your prescription without having to go back to the doctor. So I would urge a green vote. Thank you.
Seeing no amendments to the desk, the clerk will give the bill its third reading.
Third reading, Senate File number 997.
Third reading, Senate File 997. Discussion. The lady from Hennepin, Leader Hortman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I was wondering if Representative Drzkowski would yield.
The gentleman from Wabasha will yield. The lady from Hennepin, Leader Hortman.
Representative Drzkowski, I was wondering if you thought that insurance companies in Minnesota should be mandated to cover these eye drops.
The gentleman from Wabasha, Chair Drazkowski.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and Representative Hortman. Representative Hortman, I'm opposed to this bill. I don't think we should be mandating these contracts between insurance companies and the people they're contracted with.
The lady from Hennepin, Leader Hortman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Further discussion. The clerk will take the roll. The clerk will close the roll. Garofalo votes aye. Franzen votes aye. There being 112 ayes and 18 nays, the bill is passed and its title agreed to. The next bill on the calendar for the day is Senate File 1124. The clerk will report the bill.
Senate File number 1124, number 6 on the calendar for the day, an act relating to state lands, unofficially engrossed and reprinted to House to include committee amendments.
The gentleman from Aiken, Representative Lueck.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. This is the annual lands bill. Represents land that is tax forfeited, mostly under the cognizance of the county, some of it under the DNR. There's approximately 1,800 acres total that would be put on the auction block. There's represents, I think, 18 different pieces of legislation here. There's also some technical adjustments to how we do land transactions. We're also conveying a piece of property, or actually giving permission for the Minnesota Historical Society to convey a piece of property to the Lower Sioux Indian Reservation, or the Lower Sioux community. We're straightening out a judicial ditch boundary and who's responsible for that amongst watersheds. Pretty much a technical bill, and I would just ask for your support.
There are no amendments at the desk. The clerk will give the bill its third reading.
Third reading, Senate File number 1124.
Third reading. Discussion to the bill. Member from Dakota, Representative Hansen.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Would Representative Lueck yield for a question?
He will yield. Representative Hansen.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Representative Lueck, I think I read somewhere in the brief that there was money that was going to be coming back into the Outdoor Heritage Fund. Could you explain did we purchase some property with the legacy fund, and now, a few years later, we're selling it. Could you maybe highlight or explain what that is, or where it is in the bill?
Representative Lueck.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Yes, what happened there is there was a piece of property purchased. Now, St. Louis County has got a ATV system trail that runs across that, and so we're basically giving permission for the state to sell back 2.5 acres to St. Louis County. Once that's taken care of, then those funds are to go back to Lessard Sam. So you're spot on.
Representative Hansen.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and if would Representative Lueck yield for one more question? Just
He will yield. Representative Hansen.
Mr. Speaker and Representative Lueck, is that a fee title acquisition that was made where the trail will go, or was it an easement where the trail will go?
Representative Lueck.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I believe it was a fee title transaction, but again, we'd have to go right to staff to make sure, but I do believe, in fact, it was fee title.
Further discussion? Seeing none, the clerk will take the roll on the bill. Clerk will close the roll. There being 131 ayes and 0 nays, the bill is passed and its title agreed to. Next bill on the calendar for the day is Senate File number 2008. Clerk will report the bill.
Senate File number 2008, number 7 on the calendar for the day, an act relating to commerce.
I recognize the author of the bill from Fillmore, Representative Davids. To your bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. Senate File 2008 simply cleans up some old language with regards to grocery store pricing when they used to sticker every item and use grease pencils. This just allows retailers to have the flexibility, but still requires the pricing is conspicuously displayed. So members, it's just cleaning up some old language. I do not believe that the grease pencil manufacturers are in support of this bill, but everyone else is. I'd appreciate your support.
Discussion to the bill.
No amendments.
There are no amendments at the desk. The clerk will give the bill its third reading.
Third reading, Senate File number 2008.
Third reading. Discussion to the bill. Seeing none, the clerk will take the roll on the bill. Clerk will close the roll. There being 130 ayes and 0 nays, the bill is passed and its title agreed to. Reports from the Committee on Rules and Legislative Administration.
Pepin from the Committee on Rules and Legislative Administration, pursuant to Rules 1.21 and 3.33, designates the following bills to be placed on the calendar for the day for Friday, May 12, 2017, and establishes a pre-filing requirement for amendments offered to the following bills. House File numbers 399, 470, 697, 10,001, 1620, 1725, and 2080, and Senate File number 1399.
Without objection, we'll revert to messages from the Senate. There is a message from the Senate.
Message from the Senate. This is the Nash motion. Mr. Speaker, I hereby announce the passage by the Senate of the following House file herewith returned as amended by the Senate, in which amendments the concurrence of the House is respectfully requested. House File number 330, an act relating to local government. The message is signed Cal R. Luderman, Secretary of the Senate. Nash moves that the House concur in the Senate amendments to House File number 330 and that the bill be repassed as amended by the Senate.
Recognize the author, Representative Nash from Carver, who will explain the Senate amendments.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. This is the interim ordinance bill, and as much as it sometimes pains me to agree with the more deliberative body, the amendment was deemed to be innocuous by the League of Minnesota Cities, and at first I was going to refuse to concur, but in consulting with them and the other stakeholders, they are still neutral on the bill. So for those of you that voted for it before, still vote green. For those of you that didn't, you can always change your mind and vote green now. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Discussion on the amendments. Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. Motion prevails. Clerk will give the bill its third reading as amended by the Senate.
Third reading, House File number 330, as amended by the Senate.
Third reading as amended by the Senate. Discussion to the bill. Seeing none, the clerk will take the roll. Members, please vote. The clerk will close the roll. There being 90 ayes and 41 nays, the bill is repassed as amended by the Senate and its title agreed to. There is another message from the Senate.
Message from the Senate. This is the Albright motion. Mr. Speaker, I hereby announce the passage by the Senate, the following House file herewith returned as amended by the Senate, in which amendments the concurrence of the House is respectfully requested. House File number 474, an act relating to health occupations. The message is signed Cal R. Ludeman, Secretary of the Senate. Albright moves that the House concur in the Senate amendments to House File number 474 and that the bill be repassed as amended by the Senate.
I recognize the author, Representative Albright from Scott, who will explain the Senate amendments.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And members, coming back over from the Senate, there is an additional clarification in terms of the background checks, as well as the use of the data that was not picked up on the House side. And so with that, members, I would urge a green vote. Thank you.
Discussion on the Senate amendments. Seeing none, all those in favor, please say, member from Olmsted, Representative Liebling. It's a lot of activity right there, Representative Liebling. My apologies. Representative Liebling.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. An extra moment of looking would be appreciated. Would Representative Albright yield to a question?
Let me look and see. He will. Representative Liebling.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Always a good practice. Representative Albright, have you heard from the, well, let me just ask you, what have you heard from the proponents of the bill? Are they happy with the amendments?
The member from Scott, Representative Albright.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And Representative Liebling, all the cohorts to this bill are in a full agreement, and they are strongly in support of the measure that was taken up by the Senate.
Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, say nay. Motion prevails. The clerk will give the bill its third reading as amended by the Senate.
Third reading, House File number 474, as amended by the Senate.
Third reading as amended by the Senate. Any further discussion? Discussion. Seeing none, the clerk will take the roll. Members, please vote. The clerk will close the roll. There being 130 ayes and 1 nay, the bill is repassed as amended by the Senate and its title agreed to. For what purpose does the member from Ramsey rise?
Point of personal privilege.
State your point of personal privilege.
Members, we are served so well by our pages all through the session, and once in a while we need to celebrate with them. And Ryan Nash has just been accepted by the University of Minnesota into their School of Liberal Arts, and we think they're lucky to have him. Congratulations, Ryan.
Conference committee reports.
Conference committee report on House File number 4. This is the David's motion. The Conference committee report on House File number 4, an act relating to the financing and operation of state and local government. The report is addressed to the Honorable Kurt L. Doudt, Speaker of the House of Representatives, the Honorable Michelle L. Fischbach, President of the Senate. We, the undersigned conferees for House File number 4, report that we have agreed upon the items in dispute and recommend as follows. And then the Conference Committee report is signed by 4 of the members on behalf of the House and 4 of the conferees on behalf of the Senate. David's moved that the report of the Conference Committee on House File number 4 be adopted and that the bill be repassed as amended by the Conference Committee.
I recognize the author from Fillmore, Representative Davids, who will explain the report.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. This is House File 4, the Omnibus Tax Bill. I would like to go through the changes from when it last left this floor. There were several Senate provisions that were adopted. We accepted the Section 179 expensing conformity in full. We have local government aid, $6 million, CPA $6 million, school debt equity aid for 2 years. We have the ag containment compromise that we accepted. We scaled back provisions a bit on Social Security, student loans, and we have 2 years of Angel credits at $10 million a year. From the bill, what was removed was reducing the renter's credit, the Taxpayer Empowerment Act, most of that, and the one-time increase to the property tax refund. Those items were removed. So that's, rather than go through the whole bill, I have just gone through the changes from conference. I'd like to thank the conferees, Chair Drazkowski, Representative Hertas, Representative McDonald, and I really appreciate the efforts of Representative Marquardt, and again, to thank our entire staff, House Research, partisan and nonpartisan, and I would appreciate member support on passing and adopting the report of the Conference Committee. Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members.
Discussion to the report. Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, say nay. No. The motion prevails. The clerk will give the bill its third reading as amended by conference.
Third reading, House File 4, as amended by the Conference Committee.
Third reading as amended by conference. Any further discussion? Discussion to the bill. Member from Hennepin, Representative Loeffler.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. This bill, more than any other that we've considered, really shows the majority party's priorities. What isn't in this mega-sized billion-dollar tax bill is so disappointing. There's no increase in the working family tax credit, direct property tax relief for taxpayers, or adequate funding of the local government aid or county program aid programs. The working family tax credit rewards work and has been academically shown repeatedly through research that it lifts families out of poverty and even shows up in the school performance and later life success of the children of families that receive this. When you're living financially on the edge, this $700 to $800 can make the difference in managing an unexpected medical bill, a major car repair, or other normal minor catastrophes that happen normally in life that send too many people spiraling into unmanageable debt and even into eviction and homelessness. When there's 345,000 households in Minnesota that get this every year. They're in every district. Statewide, it's 12% of all of our households. We've distributed on the floor the information from the Council of Nonprofits budget project that shows you county by county how many of your constituents get this and count on it from year to year. While the average statewide is 12%, in rural counties it's even higher. You'll see numbers of 15, 16, 18, even 20%. In some counties, 1 out of 5 households counts on this. While the working, I suspect that the difference, and then you contrast this with the 1,100 people who will benefit by expanding the tax-free amount of an estate. It only benefits the 1,100 richest persons who die in Minnesota each year. They have to have estates worth over $2 to $7 million because the amount below that is already tax-free. And the difference in those thresholds is that there are special provisions for business owners and farmers already in law. I suspect many of us have no one that rich in our district that will be able to take advantage of that estate tax break. But all of us have people who earn the working family tax credit. Many of you who have wealthy constituents probably know that they have already taken advantage of trusts, asset transfers, and other ways to avoid this tax, but there's always some who don't, and that's, you know, their prerogative. But this provides $161 million and growing, ongoing, to the heirs of these wealthiest people in Minnesota. These heirs may not even live in Minnesota. Much of this inherited wealth has never had taxes paid on it. It's based on investments that transfer from one rich generation to the next. So there are no capital gains realized and recognized and had capital gains taxes paid on it. While businesses throughout the state get their statewide property tax levy reduced and frozen, including the foreign-owned companies that own many of the skyscrapers, because we know there's a lot of foreign investment in our community. They like our economy. There's no property tax relief in this for homeowners or renters. Nothing in this billion-dollar tax bill for the majority of our constituents. There's no increase in the homestead credit, the renter's credit, even after property taxes went up over $700 million in the last 2 years. I predict that property taxes will continue to go up. There's no partnership in this bill with our local governments that we've seen in the past. Cities get one time a tiny $6 million increase in local government aid for the entire state of Minnesota. Our counties are under dramatic budget pressure due to the mandated HHS and public safety obligations that we put on them. They too only get a one-time bonus of $6 million. The result will be property tax increases with no help for the taxpayers subject to them. We can and should do better. This bill doesn't step up for the ordinary worker and their family, and we should reject it.
Member from Dakota, Representative Halverson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. There are really good reasons to debate tax policy in Minnesota, and there's really good policy that we can make through our tax system. And one thing that is in this bill that really shouldn't be, and a reason why we should send it back, is tax breaks for big tobacco in Minnesota. There should be distributed an article from the Minneapolis Star-Tribune that was issued on May 3rd of this year that indicates that the tobacco companies from outside of Minnesota have spent almost $500 million trying to influence legislation here in the state. Excuse me, $500,000. $500,000 influencing legislation here in the state of Minnesota last year and this year. That includes donations to campaigns. It includes donations to third parties who support candidates. Big money is big business with big tobacco. Why are they so invested in Minnesota's tax bill and Minnesota's tax policy? One reason: new customers. The new customers for the tobacco companies are our kids. And we know that because the state of Minnesota sued the tobacco companies several years ago, and they had to open up their playbook. And we found out just how serious they were about targeting the children of the state of Minnesota. And the state of Minnesota responded by using proven policies that work to reduce tobacco use among young people. I want you guys to think about your families. Think about people in your life who you have lost to tobacco. Those losses are far too close in my life, and I know they are in yours as well. Tobacco costs lives of Minnesotans. Tobacco use increases the health care costs that we spend in Minnesota. And here we are in our tax bill in 2017, after our state and our country have been victimized year after year after year by tobacco companies, and we're giving them a tax break. This isn't a tax break for the people of Minnesota. This is a tax break to ensure that big tobacco companies can continue to come into our state and hook our kids on their products, and they can continue to reap billions of dollars in profits off the suffering of people in our state. Think about your families. Look at the face of your children and grandchildren. Think about if you want them to start smoking. Think about if you want them to try cigars, flavored cigars. Think about if you want them picking up a can of Copenhagen. The answer is going to be no, because we know the harms that tobacco costs to our state. And this tobacco tax decrease does nothing but help big tobacco hook our kids on cigarettes and hook our kids on addictive tobacco products. Minnesota stood up to the tobacco companies and we said no more. And I'm here to tell you, it's time to let their influence fade away in Minnesota. We don't need their big money in our campaigns. We don't need their big money in third-party independent expenditures in our campaigns, because we know what they do with that big money. They do everything they can to make sure that they're hooking our kids on their products. Say no to tax cuts to big tobacco. Say no to sending millions outside the state of Minnesota at the expense of our kids. Send this bill back.
Member from Hennepin, Representative Freiberg.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Representative Halverson is a tough act to follow, particularly on the topic like tobacco marketing to youth, but I will try my best to do so. And I just want to highlight one aspect of this bill that I think is really a problem here, and that's the provision related to premium cigars. So this bill would eliminate the requirement that a premium cigar be hand-rolled, so any machine-made cigar that's mass-produced now qualifies for this tobacco tax break. It reduces the maximum tax on a premium cigar from $3.50 to 50 cents, a seven-fold decrease in the price of tobacco products. Now, our youth, our young people in Minnesota are the most price-sensitive people that are out there. So the effect of this tax cut is to make these products more appealing to young people and more accessible to young people. As if that's not bad enough, cigars are frequently sold in candy flavors, in fruit flavors, in alcohol flavors. They don't have the same restrictions on flavorings that conventional cigarettes do, so these products are still out there. They're cheaper, they're in flavors that are attractive to kids, and kids will buy them if this passes. This is a real problem, and as Representative Halverson knows, the tobacco industry knows this, and that's why they're so involved in legislative campaigns in Minnesota. That's why they fight these tobacco tax increases and why they raise red herring arguments like a black market being created. That doesn't happen. These products are then sold to kids, are then purchased to kids. So this bill should be rejected for many reasons, and the cigar tax break, the tax break for big tobacco, is one of them. Vote no.
Discussion to the bill. Member from Clay, Representative Marquardt.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, and members. And colleagues from this side of the aisle have already talked about some of the specifics in the bill and reasons why we should not vote for this today. But I want to talk about the budget, because this bill really impacts what we've been talking about yesterday and we'll talk about in the next few days. But when you set your budget, you are setting your values and priorities. That is what you do. You say, this is your vision of the state, this is what you think you're going to see the big improvements to keep this the great state that it is. But the budget that has been produced by the majority does not represent those values, those priorities, those dreams and hopes of the state of Minnesota. And it really can't, because when you've got tax cuts representing 70% of the budget surplus, you can't do all the other things that this state has been built on, and that's a great education, excellent infrastructure, caring for our most vulnerable, those things that have made us a very high quality state. And when you've got $4 in tax cuts for every $1 of new investment in E through 12 education, those are not the state's priorities, those are not the right balance. And when you're looking at trying to do those things that make the state great and jobs creation and infrastructure and those, you're not getting there where you need to be. And I've heard in the last couple days, yesterday, when you heard some of the budget bills come forward, that you're kind of shocked and just, we wish we could do more in this area, or I know this isn't quite enough. But when you put 70% of your budget, of your surplus into tax cuts, the rest of your budget isn't going to be hunky-dory. And it's not like these targets fell from the ceiling here of the House chambers. They didn't just come down and, okay, tax is going to be this, education is going to be this. It didn't just happen. It was a concerted effort. Everyone decided this was going to be the priorities and goals. And so we have an education bill, because of the massive tax cuts, we have an education bill that in a time of a $1.6 billion surplus doesn't even hit inflation. 1.5%. Like I said, $4 of tax cuts to $1 of education funding. So you're not even hitting inflation. And then you're hearing the decision between voluntary pre-K or targeted pre-K. And I think it was mentioned yesterday that we had to make a choice between targeting pre-K or making it accessible to everyone. That is a false choice. And that doesn't come down to dollars. We know if there's anything we could do this session that would impact the state more than anything else, it would be pre-kindergarten for everyone if we could. And Governor Dayton has been a champion for early childhood education, but it has been a bipartisan effort. Look at the early learning scholarships that Representative Loon has $138 million. That was bipartisan. Back in the 11-12 session, Governor Dayton was a champion for that, and a Republican legislature promoted that. And now it's up to $138 million, which is good. It's a huge, excellent component to our preschool. And in the last session, Governor Dayton championed the voluntary pre-K, which passed also bipartisanly. So, members, if you think you can't afford the voluntary pre-K, if you were to take the $161 million that is going to the wealthiest Minnesotans in the estate tax conformity, $161 million, you could fund 25,000 four-year-olds for pre-K, voluntary pre-K. It's that easy, but that's a choice. So when you say, well, we've got a target rather than this, that is a false choice because it's very easily to do, but you've got to change your priorities. And while I'm on voluntary pre-K, if you're really talking about tax relief, this is excellent for middle-class families, working families. Because, for example, the early learning scholarships go up to 185% of the poverty level. But if you got two parents with two children, you hit that at $45,500. So when you take away voluntary pre-K, you are eliminating options and increasing costs for working parents. That's what you do. And the average working parent with voluntary pre-K would save about $2,500 to $4,000 a year. That is significant for these middle-income families. That's huge. And right now we're funding 74 school districts that applied and got preschool, the voluntary preschool. 269 districts from every single county now have applied for the new funds. And rural members, listen to this, of those 269 school districts, 66% of the students, 66% of the students where school boards have applied for new funding for the voluntary pre-K are from rural Minnesota. 2/3 from rural Minnesota. Why is that? Because there's a lot of shortages for daycare out there. And why are we extending the parent-aware 3- and 4-star ratings? Because you don't have that many out in rural Minnesota. They need that. These parents need that. And so I'm talking about that because we seem to make that a choice. But it could very easily have made by just reducing the amount of money going to the estate tax, the wealthiest 1,000 people in this state, we could fund voluntary pre-K. Higher education, because of the massive tax cuts, we're going to see tuition increases around this state and huge cuts to our university. I've talked to 2 presidents of universities and a college back in my area. And one said they're going to have to cut $7.5 million. And so I said to her, I said, well, give me what is that in comparison to your budget? She said that's 10% of her budget at her university. I said, what's that going to mean? She said it's going to mean cuts to staff, which ultimately means cuts to programs, and she specifically mentioned a program like nursing. Things that we need to generate our economy. I talked to a president of a college in my area, and she said it's going to be significant. The current conference report is going to be significant cuts. They have laid off or not filled 64 positions in the last 2 years. And it says it's going to reduce more programs. Your choices have huge implications on what's going to happen here. We've got our personal care attendants, our direct care, home and community-based folks who are not getting the proper increases they need as they care for our most vulnerable people, our senior citizens and our people with disabilities. But that was a choice made, and when you put 70% of the budget surplus into massive tax cuts, it just doesn't work out, and it doesn't meet the needs of Minnesota. I remember back in the late 90s, Governor Ventura was the governor then. We had surpluses, and it was give it all back. We remember that. Give it all back. Well, they gave a lot of it back, and for about the next 12 to 14 years, we had constant deficits, where tuitions went up, classroom sizes got bigger, LGA went down. All of these things had huge impacts. And one of the things Governor Dayton and this legislature has really tried to do in the last 2 and 3 years is create stability in this budget, not only for today, but into the future. And we really need to watch that. So members, we've got a lot of choices here, but when you have a budget with 70% of it into tax cuts, it doesn't leave much more for people, for helping people around this state. So let's vote no on this. Let's get through this step of the process, because we do need strategic targeted tax cuts for those who need it the most. Our senior citizens, our families, our farmers, our veterans, our small businesses, we need those. And we can do that. But we can do that with a balanced approach that also invests in those important things that we have always invested in to make this a great state economically and with quality of life, and that's in our education, our infrastructure, and taking care of our most vulnerable people. So let's get the right priorities, the right values, the right balance, and we can still do that. And I do appreciate Chair David's his work on the conference committee and his inclusion of me in the deliberations and so forth. I really appreciate that. But we have more work to do. We have a lot more work to do, and I'm confident in the next 12 days, I think is what we have left, that we're going to get a budget that is balanced and has the right priorities. But I think we start by voting no here today and then moving on and working with Governor Dayton for that right balance.
Member from Hennepin, Representative Hortman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Point of personal privilege.
State your point of personal privilege.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, I'd like to call your attention to some students in the gallery. They have walked 100 miles. They are Students United for a Good Cause to call attention to the importance of affordable college tuition. And they just finished their 100-mile walk.
And Representative Hartman, I can only assume that Representative Considine also walked that full 100 miles as I see him up there. So, discussion to the bill, members. The member from Wabasha, Representative Drazkowski.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, thank you for the discussion. Chair Davids, thank you for your leadership on this bill. It's been an honor and privilege to serve with you on the committee. Representative Marquardt, it's been really enjoyable to develop a stronger relationship with you this session, and I enjoy our working together on this bill throughout and look forward to us bringing this to success and having the governor's signature on this bill. But I want to talk about some things that have been discussed not only today but also yesterday in the context of this bill. By the way, members, as the folks from upstairs head out after their 100-mile journey, they'll be glad to know there's tax relief in the bill to help you with your higher education costs. Members, you know, we had discussion yesterday about how, at least it was characterized, that it's never enough money. It's never enough money for education. It's never enough money for health and human services. It's never enough money for higher education. And members, those three areas together, as we all know, comprise about 85% of our state general operating budget. Now, if you look at the actual numbers, we were only talking, or at least those talking yesterday, about the two major bills, the education bill and the HHS bill. We're only talking about the increases over the base, and they made it sound like those numbers were small, and I beckoned back to, as I listened to some of the Democrats talk yesterday about they wanted more and more and more and more money, I beckoned back to a couple of years ago when I heard one member say, just a few $100 million more, that's all we want. And I heard that again yesterday. Just give us a few $100 million more. And members, we have to remember where that money comes from. It comes from the hard-working taxpayers of Minnesota, and it's taken from them against their will in order to fund the pieces of government that we fund here every year. And so we have to be very careful and do a good job with their money and practice the fiduciary responsibility we're sent here to exercise. But you look at the actual numbers, members, the education spending increase is a $1.1 billion increase over the last biennium. The HHS increase, I don't have this number nailed down, it's somewhere, I talked to the chair, somewhere in the neighborhood of 1.6 or $1.8 billion increase in spending over the last biennium. And the folks yesterday talking said, well, we want more. We want even more than that. Well, the frustrations, members, that working Minnesotans have had is they've seen this behavior long happen here. And we saw it the last biennium. We had a $1.9 billion surplus. A $1.9 billion overcollection of the people's money was scheduled through the biennium that we're about to end. And what did we provide for tax relief for them? Zero. No, I take that back. We had $50 million or so tax cut for our military veterans from their pension benefits and the income tax on those benefits. That's the one piece, $50 million in the last biennium. The rest, we spent half of the projected surplus in the neighborhood of $1 billion in increasing the size of government in each of the areas that we included our spending decisions in. So members, this bill actually begins, it's a first step to giving back some of the over-projected collection, the over-collection of the people's money to the hardworking Minnesotans who are out there trying to feed their families, to put gas in their car, to pay for their college education for their kids, to pay the mortgage on their house, to pay for their health insurance, of which many of them can't afford. And this is our opportunity to do that. It's a $1.1 billion tax cut, and as I mentioned, out of the 85% or so of the budget decisions that we're looking at right now a $3.5 billion increase in spending for those three major areas: education, HHS, and higher ed. $3.5 billion increased spending between last year and this year. And we would like to give back to the hardworking Minnesotans who toil in their labor every year to try to get ahead in the face of a headwind of inflation that is eating them up. But in the face of government, inflation's been what? 1.7%? But our increase in spending, members, has been about 30% increase in the last 6 years in spending in the state budget. It just keeps going and going and going again. So we have good tax relief in here for those hardworking Minnesotans. We have tax relief in here for senior citizens who are having income tax money taken out of their Social Security benefits, those benefits that they are depending on. We decrease the tax on our seniors and give them some breathing room as they try to move forward and make decisions in the future of their lives. Minnesota farmers have a great opportunity here to put them onto pace or begin that first step that Representative Marquardt and I are working on with the ag construction levy taxes, and the first step in putting the first step of a two-step process in putting them on pace on an equal level with the people who happen to live in town. Our veterans are also covered in here. We provide some property tax exemptions for veterans as they move forward. And our small businesses all across the state benefit by, and I heard someone, I think Representative Loeffler was talking about, you know, this is all about skyscrapers and rich people. Members, it is not. What our state general levy provision in the bill does is it freezes the autopilot increase that is added on top of that extra property tax that every single business, including the smallest businesses in every corner of Minnesota, are forced to pay on top of what they pay for their county property taxes, their school property taxes, and their city or township property taxes. They're forced to pay yet another state property tax on top of that. And not only are they forced to pay it, but it's on an automatic increase over time. So we stop the increase and keep it frozen, and then we simply repeal that extra tax for the first $150,000 of property value, benefiting the most every one of those small businesses in every corner of every jurisdiction of our great state. So this helps Minnesota farmers, it helps Minnesota seniors, it helps Minnesota veterans, and Minnesota small business owners so that they can begin to get ahead as we have been spending and spending and spending their money here in St. Paul. It's time for the people who are paying the bill to finally get some relief. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The author of the bill from Fillmore, Representative Davids.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. I'd appreciate your support on the conference report for House File 4. There's been many false narratives I've heard speaking to what this bill is about, but I'd like to let the members of this body know what this bill is really about. Members, this bill is about senior citizens that are getting kicked out of their homes because they have to pay taxes on their Social Security. Why are we charging senior citizens taxes on their Social Security? We put many, many thousands of seniors will not have that burden any longer if you vote for this bill. Subtraction for 529 plans, subtractions and credits. First in the nation, student, are they still up there? Oh, they're not up, oh shoot. First in the nation, student loan tax credits. First in the nation. That's what those students walked 100 miles for. Credit for equity, let's see, then we have the school bond ed credit, Chair Draskowski hit that. First-time home buyer savings account subtraction, beginning farmer credits. Representative Pearson did a lot of work on that. It's in the bill. Increasing child and dependent care credits, we kind of forget to mention that. It's in the bill for working families, for people that are struggling to make ends meet. Exempting the first $150,000 on the property taxes for your smallest businesses. Go to your small towns. Look at the Main Street. They will have a 30% decrease in their property taxes. Many of them will. That's in the bill. Federal conformity. This is about seniors, farmers, veterans, provisions for veterans in the bill. Students, families saving for college, daycare costs, school, debt service, debt equalization. Local government aid and CPA, $39 million. 6 in LGA, 6 in CPA, 27 in a provision that was brought to us, I think Representative Swedzinski, to eliminate the sales tax on construction material purchases for cities and counties. That's a decrease in cost, $39 million to our cities and our counties. So members, I'm just going to go through a brief list here. If you represent any of these communities, you might want to think about voting for the bill. Newport, Duluth Seaway Port Authority, St. Paul, Rochester, Richfield, Workforce Housing TIF, Burnsville, Anoka, St. Louis Park, Edina, Maple Grove, and because of the great representation in Richfield, another Richfield provision in the bill. Cottage Grove, Wayzata, Coon Rapids, Workforce Housing in the bill. Then let's just keep going here. East Grand Forks, Mankato and North Mankato, Fairmont, Duluth, Moose Lake, Clay County, Sleepy Eye, Windham, New Ulm, Fergus Falls, Spicer, New London, Garrison, West Mille Lacs Lakes, Albert Lee, Walker, Proctor, two of my favorite, Proctor and Hermantown, right up there with Richfield, as far as I'm concerned. Windham, Clay County again, Worthington. This bill helps all of those communities, members. So even if you don't want to vote for the bill, you should. And like I said before, I said, you know, members, I put my pants on every morning, one leg at a time, just like you do, and then I go out and write great tax bills. This is a great tax bill. Please vote yes.
Seeing no further discussion, the clerk will take the roll on the bill. Members, please vote. Members, please vote. The clerk will close the roll. There being 76 ayes and 57 nays, the bill is repassed as amended by conference and its title agreed to. Conference committee report.
Conference committee report on House File number 861. This is the Torkelson motion. The Conference committee report on House File number 861, an act relating to transportation finance. The report is addressed to the Honorable Kurt L. Doubt, Speaker of the House, the Honorable Michelle L. Fischbach, President of the Senate. We, the undersigned conferees for House File number 861, report that we have agreed upon the items in dispute and recommend as follows. And the Conference committee report is signed by 4 of the 5 conferees on behalf of the House and 4 of the 5 conferees on the part of the Senate. Torkelson moves that the report of the Conference Committee on House File number 861 be adopted and that the bill be repassed as amended by the Conference Committee.
Recognize the author, Representative Torkelson from Brown, who will explain the report.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. Mr. Speaker, I'd like to request a roll call on the adoption.
Roll call being requested. Seeing 15 hands, there will be a roll call. Representative Torkelson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. It seems like a long time ago that we passed this off the House floor. There have been a number of changes in the process. I'll start with a number of House provisions that are no longer in the bill. No longer in the bill is some money for the city of Red Wing regarding a road project there. The reason for that is that the city of Red Wing and the Minnesota Department of Transportation have reached an agreement, so that provision is no longer necessary. Also in the city of Hastings, there was a bill to change a speed limit on a road. That agreement has also been reached between the city of Hastings and Minnesota Department of Transportation, so that provision is no longer necessary. You probably have heard in the news that there's an agreement to dissolve CTIB, so any language in the bill related to CTIB dissolution has been removed from the bill. The legislative requirement to approve new light rail projects has also been removed. A fare box recovery requirement has been removed from the bill. The freight rail liability protection language has been removed from the bill. Quiet zone funding has been removed, and a couple of studies. We had a bunch of studies. We did our best to consolidate and cut down on the number of studies in the bill. 2 have been removed, one for 94, 494, 694 interchange, and another one for Trunk Highway 65. We did accept a number of Senate provisions. They are the Metro Mobility Task Force is being established in this bill to study the issue of the cost and issues around the operations of Metro Mobility. An establishment of the Senator James Metzen Memorial Highway, language that makes it easier to transfer a motor vehicle title on the event of a death of the current holder of that title, language to simplify the title procedure with manufactured homes. There's a section of language regarding bikeways at the request of the Minnesota Department of Transportation. There is an overweight exemption for emergency vehicles that travel on our highways. And finally, from the Senate, there is language regarding the active transportation program. With that, Mr. Speaker, I'd like to highlight some of the provisions in the bill that I feel are very important and people should take notice. First off, this is a substantial bill that brings in over $2 billion of new and authorized new funding for state roads and transit systems in the state of Minnesota in the first biennium, and a total of $5.5 billion over a 10-year period. Our general fund target of $372 million is reduced somewhat from our original proposal, but still substantial. There are some other changes in funding as a result of negotiations with the Senate. We left the House floor with $25 million scheduled for small cities, those under 5,000 in population. The Senate's position was $10 million. We compromised at $20 million, so we got a little closer to our position than the Senate's position was. That's $10 million each year. There's money in this bill for the 7 metropolitan counties to help with their road projects. There is a new funding stream, one-time funding for townships. Townships came up a little short in our equation, so there's $2 million a year in this next biennium for township roads, one-time funding. Since we left the House floor, there's been a substantial change in Metropolitan Council funding. We've replaced the funding for the operations of the existing light rails, the green line and blue line as they stand today. That's about $50 million over the biennium. We have also made a generous contribution to the Met Council as far as their operating funds go of $50 million to get them back to an operational position where they should be able to operate the existing system that they have in place. And going on then to another program that has normally been funded in the bonding bill but will now be brought into the transportation bill. That's a local bridge program. It's a program that is very well run. We have a nice schedule of bridges that are selected to be replaced. The engineering has been done, the local funding's in place. They're just waiting for the state funding. That has been done in the past with bonding funds, but those bonding funds have been somewhat uneven and undependable. This will put $25 million in this next biennium, and that is going to be an ongoing expenditure in the transportation budget so that bridge work can continue on an annual basis, and county engineers and county boards all across the state and others can make the plans they need to replace those bridges. Greater Minnesota Transit continues to get a percentage of the motor vehicle lease sales tax on an ongoing basis, along with the 5 metro counties that get their substantial amount of road aid from the motor vehicle lease sales tax. And finally, a portion of that motor vehicle lease sales tax continues to go to the Highway User Trust Distribution Fund. With that, Mr. Speakers and members, I think I've covered the highlights of the changes and the funding streams in the bill, and I'd be happy to stand for questions.
On adoption of the conference report, the member from Hennepin, Representative Nelson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And would Representative Torkelson stand for some questions?
He will. Representative Nelson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Representative Torkelson, I'm looking at the spreadsheet here, and I understand that the conference committee report came back and there was an additional $20 million into metropolitan transit. And I'm just wondering where this is. And I'm looking at this, and I'm looking on line 528 on the spreadsheet. And it looks like there's money going into the Highway User Trust Fund and then coming out of the Highway User Distribution Trust Fund on 528 and 529. Is that what we're talking about here? And is that, what money is that?
The member from Brown, Representative Torkelson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I don't have a copy of the spreadsheet in front of me. The guy that wrote the spreadsheet is currently searching through it. As you know, these spreadsheets do get a little complicated. But you mentioned 20 million. Actually, since this bill left the House floor, we have added 50 million in transit funding to the Met Council. and it is on line 328 of the spreadsheet. Line 328 on page 8 of the spreadsheet, you will see an amount of $50 million to keep the buses running in metropolitan Minnesota.
Representative Nelson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And would Representative Torkelson stand for yield for a couple more questions?
He will yield. Representative Nelson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Well, I see that on 520, on, what did you say, 328. But I'm curious about this here. Make sure I don't cover the light up here. Because I'm seeing this 20 million in 16, and also down in 554 that there's 20 million 16 being transferred out of the Highway User Trust Fund. And like I said, it went in and out here, and it went out here. And I guess the question I have is, for years we've heard from different people that have spread the myth that we're taking gas tax dollars and money out of the trust fund and using it for transit. And you know, we all in the past have not done that. We've been, you know, that's dedicated money, constitutionally dedicated money for that. And what it looks like here is that we're transferring it out of the Highway User Trust Fund and transferring it in to the Metropolitan Council Fund. And so, I mean, if going forward, if we do this the way it looks like to me, that we are now actually taking money out of the Highway User Trust Fund and putting it for Metropolitan Transit. And I mean, I like the extra money going to Metropolitan Transit to offset some of the cuts that they were looking to have to do for service. And I've gotten lots of emails from my residents and my constituents in my district that use the bus to get to work and get around. And so, I mean, I like the fact that we're putting more money into that, but I have some qualms about taking money out of the trust fund, that it goes to build our roads and our bridges and maintain our roads and our bridges, and putting it in this fund. We normally have done this other ways, and I guess I've got concerns about that. And is that what I'm seeing here, Representative Torkelson?
The member from Brown, Representative Torkelson.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you, Representative, for that question. First off, I have to say that this is a Senate provision that we adopted. Second, what you're looking at as a transfer is not a transfer at all. It's just a rearrangement of the spreadsheet for this coming biennium. That money never was in the Highway User Trust Fund because the bill, it was not like it was funds that were passed in a bill. This is a proposal that is going forward. The proposal has changed. Admittedly, there's more money in this rearranged proposal going to the bus system and less money going to the Highway User Trust Fund. That's how an agreement was reached with the Senate. But we're not taking money out of the fund. That money is not there yet. It won't be there until a bill passes off the House and Senate floor and is signed by the governor.
Representative Nelson.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker. And Representative Torkelson would yield for another question, I guess.
He will yield.
Well, Mr. Speaker and Representative Torkelson, while I'm looking at the sheet here and the spreadsheet, and again, the money coming out of the general fund for the sales tax on the auto parts dedication is going into the HUTD, the Highway User Trust Fund, and then it's coming out down here. So if this bill passes, and I realize that we're not doing it yet, but if this bill passes, the future we'll be doing is taking that money that would have gone into the general fund for sales tax on the auto parts and putting it into the trust fund, and then it looks like we're taking it back out of the trust fund. And yeah, maybe on paper just be a shift, but again, it leads to that myth that, and helps prosper or propagate that myth that we are stealing money out of the trust fund that's supposed to go for roads and be distributed to our cities and the counties and our townships. And that money then is going to, instead of going to do those roads, it's going to be going back out and into another fund. So again, we are taking money out. It looks to me like we're taking money out of the Highway User tax distribution fund and putting it into Metro Transit. And again, like I support Metro Transit, but we need to fund that a different way. We don't want to open that up because this is just the first step of if we do it for this, then maybe so later on someone will figure out another way to do it for something else. And I guess I've always, since I've been in the legislature and I've been on the Transportation Committee, it's been always sacrosanct that we don't take highway user trust fund money and spend it on other things than roads and bridges.
Representative Torkelson.
Well, thank you again, Mr. Speaker, and Representative, I don't agree with your interpretation of what these numbers mean, but I have to say that I've got a report on my desk, not on this desk, on my desk in my office, of leaks from the Highway User Trust Fund. You would be surprised, and maybe you've seen the report because it's available to the entire legislature. You would be surprised, maybe you wouldn't be surprised, that there are a number of leaks out of the Highway User Trust Fund, even though today it uses all dedicated funds. Now, in our proposal, of course, we are capturing general fund dollars that are generated by a variety of auto and transportation related resources. There wouldn't be any funds to move if we weren't capturing those funds. The changes you described that are in the spreadsheet, again, are part of the negotiations as we put a bill together, negotiating with the Senate as to what the priorities are within this bill. But to describe that as taking money out of the Highway User Trust Fund is a misrepresentation.
Representative Nelson.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. I guess I'm going to quit asking questions because, like I said, what it looks like to me, and again, this goes back to my first year when I was in the legislature here, and I went to this chamber dinner, and I got stuck in with a group of people from northern Minnesota, businessmen, and they were talking, and you know, like I said, there's a great myth out there that we're stealing money out of the trust fund and using it for other programs other than highway and the MnDOT. And they said, you know, I'd be willing to pay more gas tax if I could be guaranteed it was not going to go for education or this or that or buses in the metro area. And at that time, it didn't. It's not supposed to. And I mean, I know there's been leakage out of it here and there, but members, I guess, to me, this looks like on paper, and I guess that it looks to me and it looks to other people that have talked to me that this looks like we're starting down that road of even leaking more money out of the Highway User Distribution Fund and using it for other things other than roads and bridges and MnDOT operations. And so I have concerns about this bill, and I would suggest that we vote no on this adoption and send it back and maybe fix the language so that it doesn't look this way. And you know, if it's coming out of the general fund, not put it into that fund before it comes back out to goes to Met Transit.
The member from Hennepin, Representative Joachim.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Would Representative Torkelson yield for a question?
He will yield. Representative Joachim.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Representative Torkelson, my question is regarding Article 3, Section 130. Could you please tell me why we're reopening the Suburban Transit Association for only one city? I believe it's Excelsior.
Representative Torkelson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The reason for that is there's only one city that has made a request to take a look at the potential of joining the other cities that take part in the opt-outs.
Representative Joachim.
Thank you, Representative Torkelson, Mr. Speaker. Actually, I was listening to the conference committee last night, and there, as you were closing up the bill, and it sounded like some of your own conferees were surprised and unaware that this was even an opportunity or an offer that could have been out there. So I'm not quite sure about that. But that being said, I'm really concerned about this provision and the inequities it does for regional taxpayers. We have 4 suburban providers that receive tax dollars but are not governed by the Met Council. They can set their own routes and their own rules, and they've been grandfathered in from an old property tax-based system. And in this bill, we're allowing just one city that opportunity. With this bill, we're also giving additional money to these suburban operators that only serve 12 cities and about 5.5% of all transit rides in the entire metro area. All the while, we're cutting from Metro Transit, who serves 83 cities and 66% of the regional rides in the metro area. And those riders come from as far west as Mound As far north as Forest Lake and Ramsey, as far south as Lakeville, as far east as Stillwater and Bayport. And you'll be cutting services for tens of thousands of those riders every day, just to benefit a few. 80% of those riders get to work or school on transit. 40% of those that arrive in St. Paul and Minneapolis to work arrive on transit. And despite the chair's presentation in this bill, we do see a lack of funding for Metro Transit that is glaring the first few years and becomes blinding in the out years. It's ballooning over $100 million shortfall in 2020 for the Met Council. Won't even get them to their base operating budget this year, or let alone allow for expansion. So I'm particularly sensitive about this provision because I'm actually irritated because my friends and neighbors in Hopkins and St. Louis Park will see service cut and not have that opportunity. You see, this lovely Southwest Transit bus service, which is one of the suburban providers that you're creating a windfall for, they come from Chaska and Chanhassen and drive right through my cities on the way to Minneapolis without stopping. So my friends and neighbors in Hopkins that are just a little over 9 miles away from Minneapolis, if they don't catch an express bus in the morning, it can take them over an hour to get to work. My friends and neighbors in St. Louis Park live about 4 miles away, and if they don't catch an express bus, it could take 40 minutes. And that's with buses having to compete on the same roads with traffic. So the bottom line, in this bill, we're picking winners and losers again. And the biggest losers are our transit-dependent folks in the metro area. These are the folks trying to get to their jobs, students trying to get to school, our elderly trying to age in place, and some of our most vulnerable members of our communities. They live in those 83 cities that you're cutting, and maybe that's okay for you, but it's not for me. So I'd like you to consider that when we look at adopting this conference committee report.
The member from Pine, Representative Sundin.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. I'd like to challenge Chair Torkelson's characterization of what he calls new funding. This is actually swiping money from the general fund via the tax revenues from parts and repairs on automobiles. It's a shift, it's a raid, call it whatever you want. You're swiping it from the general fund. And I think we can probably come up with 372 million reasons why we should not misuse our taxing authority here in this body. It's simply an embarrassment to the rest of the programs that the state runs. What I'd like to do today is ask Representative Hansen how this affects the environment. What I'd like to do today is ask Representative Salk how this affects the LGA down in Rochester. Or my friend, Representative Considine, how this affects a security hospital. Or possibly Representative Murphy, how this affects nursing facilities throughout the state. This is nothing more than a gimmick to get some of us in this chamber through the next election cycle. Let's be clear, this is no solution, and it's no long-term substitute for dedicated funds. We need an increase in the gas tax. Let's pony up and do the right thing for the state of Minnesota and the transportation needs. Thank you.
The member from Hennepin, Representative Hornstein.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. I'd urge a red vote on adoption. This bill, its fundamental structure is pretty much the same as when it left the House floor. And what I mean by that is it still relies on general fund money that is not sustainable over the long term. I think Representative Sundin and others have characterized why this is just the wrong way to go. This is a raid on the general fund. We heard from Representative Marquardt, and we heard very eloquent testimony all day yesterday about why this is problematic. We're going to continue to see pressure on higher education and tuition when we raid the general fund. We're going to see additional class size issues. We're going to see additional folks being affected by health care cuts, on and on and on. This is the wrong way to fund roads and bridges. So we need dedicated, reliable, constitutionally dedicated and reliable funding. We had contractors during session at our hearings tell us how important that dedicated, long-term, reliable funding is. Even at the conference committee, there was a public hearing. We heard the same from contractors. The Chamber of Commerce, the Minnesota Chamber, I don't always agree with them, but they reiterated how important long-term, dedicated, reliable funding is. Now, if you ascribe to the fact that it's okay to fund roads and bridges with general fund money, this bill has $167 million less than the bill coming off the House floor. So it fails on two counts. It uses the wrong source of money and significantly less of that. I also want to reiterate what Representative Joachim said, that we continue to have cuts in Metro Transit. In times of a surplus, we should not be cutting local regular route bus service, and particularly in the out year, we have significant cut to Metropolitan Transit. So members, for those are the main reasons. Again, the fundamental assumptions and structure of this bill as it passed off the House floor remain intact. There's less money for roads. There continues to be a transit shortfall. We continue to fail at doing what we need to do, which is focus on a reliable, dedicated source of funding. There's not enough money in this bill to simply maintain our roads and bridges over the next few years. There's not enough money in this bill to expand the system. We had, I think, over $1 billion worth of bonding requests in roads and bridges that we heard in our committee. Representative Torkelson had a hearing from both sides of the aisle and very eloquent testimony about why we need those projects. We aren't going to even make a dent in funding them with this scenario. So members, please vote no on adoption. We can do much better than this bill. We need to start from scratch and get the job done. Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members.
The member from Waseca, Representative Petersburg.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I think I was a little shocked when I just heard somebody say that we are raiding our taxing authority by actually including income tax dollars and other dollars raised for transportation. And yet I'd like to ask anybody, if all the dollars that we appropriate, then would that be raiding our taxes? I don't think so. The reality is that we have a responsibility and the authority to appropriate those tax dollars however we wish. And to me, this is an appropriate use of funding in order to really have everybody have an input and an impact into transportation. It's not just those that drive cars and vehicles. It's all of us. Our road infrastructure, our transportation infrastructure is fundamentally important to all of us. And we can't continually to sustain it on the backs of just those that drive cars anymore. I mean, you talk about the impact that it has in metro area in regards to transit. Gasoline taxes absolutely impact, an increase in gasoline taxes absolutely impact those low income in greater Minnesota that don't have the capacity or the ability to use public transit. That's also a cost to them. And I think it's important for us to remember that as a state, we do need to come together. We do need to understand the needs of the metro area as well as greater Minnesota. And I think this bill is one of those that is at least attempting to do that. Across the board, there are more dollars in almost every area. Some would say there's not enough in one particular area or another. That could or could not be true depending on your outlook. We have to remember that different people and different groups have different philosophies and different priorities. That doesn't mean that one's more right than the other, but it does mean that we need to come together and understand each other. So I think this is a great bill. I really encourage everybody to support it. Look at what it's going to do for townships, for others that are getting direct dollars, additional dollars that they haven't had for a long time, and let's move it forward. Thank you.
Further discussion to the motion on the motion to adopt. Seeing none, Representative from Hennep. Seeing no further discussion and a roll call being requested, clerk will take the roll on the motion to adopt. Clerk will close the roll. There being 74 ayes and 58 nays, the motion to adopt the Competency Committee report prevails. The clerk will give the bill its third reading as amended by conference.
Third reading, House File Number 861, as amended by conference.
Third reading. Any further discussion? Representative Bernardi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This bill needs some more work. Right now, it's simply wrong for Minnesota in addressing our transportation needs. We need a new constitutionally dedicated, long-term, reliable funding to keep Minnesotans moving efficiently and effectively. This bill fails that. It's like a Band-Aid. It robs money from our general fund, which is the fund that we use to invest in our students, families, and seniors, like funding education, nursing homes, and health care throughout our state. Minnesota needs a $6 billion funding over the next 10 years to fix our crumbling infrastructure. This bill shortchanges Minnesota. Minnesota will fall short in growing the jobs and growing our successful economy when our infrastructure is wearing out and our transit options are woefully inadequate. We need a multimodal system that serves the people across Minnesota. This bill fails and falls short. Not only does it not provide needed funding for our roads, bridges, bike and pedestrian infrastructure, it leaves a hole in the budget for Metro Transit. People in my community have shared their stories about how transportation affects their life. Vicki, who takes the bus in my community to downtown Minneapolis, she was able to get a decent job to help pay her bills, and she emphasized barely. She doesn't have to use dollars for her car, insurance, or parking. Barb is a friend of mine who had surgery, and she was able to continue commuting by using the bus because she was not able to drive with that injury. Mary in my district's husband's car broke down, and if it wasn't for the North Star train, he wouldn't have been able to get to work for a whole week. Living next to a transportation system that provides transit helps keep their property values up, she shared with me. And Aaron, who moved in my district recently, having transit accessible to him allowed his family to move from 2 to 1 car, saving them a lot of money and keeping 25,000 miles a year from off the roads that they had been driving before. They use the Green Line as well as the North Star. Maura left a job not too long ago because there was not good public transit. And a friend of mine who is a professor said her students at Metro State must have access to bus, rail, and bikeway and metro mobility to get to school. It's imperative, she said. And then Terry, she's a friend of mine. Her daughter went to our kids' school, and she said that she would not be able to attend St. Paul Conservatory for the Performing Arts if it weren't for Metro buses. And then 2 more stories. Katie, she is a millennial friend of mine, and she saves on parking each day by taking a bus, and she actually likes napping on the bus as well. And the other mode of transportation is James. He has the ability to afford a car and gas, but he moved from another state to Minnesota, and he doesn't like driving on the snowy and icy roads. He actually has an anxiety disorder, and he uses transit as his choice of transportation. So there's all different ways in which people get about in our communities. There's different times in their lives when they have to be able to get about in different ways. Our young people are dependent on transit if their parents don't have a car. Our elderly people need to have options when they get rid of their driver's license or their kids take it away. So no matter how old a person is, from 1 to 101, they need to have the ability to move safely, efficiently, and effectively throughout their life. And we need to send this bill back so we can build the kind of infrastructure that supports the Minnesota values that we have of supporting people and Minnesota's success. Thank you.
The member from Hennepin, Representative Rosenthal.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and members. You know, I was driving in this morning from work to get here around 9 o'clock, and I was in bumper-to-bumper traffic coming towards Minneapolis. Going the other way, it was worse. They were in standstill for miles and miles and miles, and that goes on every day. And why is that? It's because our major employers like United Healthcare have 6,000 more employees that they're going to have over the next few years, 80,000 new employees in that corridor over the next 10 years. The roads can't handle it alone. I am for roads, I'm for bridges, I'm for transit and buses, being it in the city, the suburbs, or in rural areas. We need to help them all. It just vexes me when we talk about light rail. You know, our county, Hennepin County, pays out more than any other county in the state to local government aid. That goes to a lot of your cities. And we're happy to do that. And I don't understand why you would want to attack the very source of the money that your cities receive. It makes no sense to me. There's going to be incredible amount of new businesses along this corridor of the Southwest. But what do? You take away operating funds for it. You don't allow future lines to have the advantages that the blue line and the green line currently have. And I think that is wrong. And you make this false comparison that one form of transportation is much more expensive than the other. You seem to think that roads are free. They're not. They're expensive. And with heavy trucks, they become more expensive. I had a bill in that we had an informational hearing, 494-35W interchange. It's one of the 8th or 9th, 10th worst in the country. And you know how much that costs to fix for less than a mile of roadway? $250 million for less than a mile of road. So the suggestion that one area of transportation is subsidized over others is a false premise. This bill does not do anything to help our families, our businesses. The Minnesota Chamber is against this bill. The CEOs of major corporations have come out against this bill. This bill needs to go back, needs to get better, a lot better. And I urge members to vote no.
The member from Hennepin, Representative Carlson A.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, members. The week of May 21st, 2 weeks from now, is National Public Works Week, when we proudly salute the tens of thousands of public works professionals who work tirelessly every day to strengthen the bond that keeps us all connected. National Public Works Week celebrates the vital role public works plays in connecting all of us. As the cornerstone of civilization, public works provides, maintains, and improves structures as well as services that provide for a high quality of life within all of our communities. It's roads, bridges, and public transportation that keep us linked together from coast to coast. It's clean water and sanitation services that keep us healthy and allow our communities to grow and prosper. If the goal of public works is to connect us, this transportation bill only divides us further. Even with the money taken from the general fund, there's still insufficient funds for our roads, bridges, and transit. MnDOT has stated that the funding proposed in this bill doesn't even cover the existing maintenance of existing infrastructure. And the needs are real. For example, last month, the 86th Street Bridge over Interstate 35W in Bloomington was hit by a truck hauling oil storage tanks. But that's not the first time this happened. Back in February of 2016, a truck hit the bridge and ruptured a gas line that runs underneath it. This obsolete bridge is finally being replaced this summer and will be raised 2 feet so that these types of incidences don't continue to occur. This is just one example of the needs that we have to replace and repair our aging infrastructure. It's crumbling. Our infrastructure is vital to our state economy, as we all know, and our quality of life. It connects us. Vote no on this bill so that we can finally get serious about staying connected and providing for the necessary funds for our roads, bridges, and transit.
The member from Dakota, Representative Garofalo.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you, Representative Torkelson, for bringing this legislation forward. And today we see a clear delineation of the priorities of each side of the aisle. On this side of the aisle, what we see are Republicans want to fix roads. We want to repair bridges. We want to move people. We want to move product. But today, the DFL is opposed to it. Why? Because the DFL has a different goal. Their goal is to raise taxes. Representative Torkelson, you're not going to get Democrat votes on this bill because their goal is to raise taxes. Regressive taxes on the middle class and the lower class. Tax increases are the goals. Representative Bernardi had a fine comment earlier. We need constitutionally dedicated revenue. We have constitutionally dedicated revenue. There's no prohibition on general fund revenue for roads and bridges. What they're saying is they want to raise taxes. And as we're going forward, we hear these comments. The Chamber of Commerce is opposed to this bill. No, they're not. Even in the sort of truth-free, fact-free era of politics, it's pretty much documented the Chamber of Commerce is not opposed to this bill. I'd like to find a reference point for that. We heard earlier from Representative Carlson making some nice comments about this, about the importance of doing things. But the reality is we're hearing nothing new from the DFL today. The same old lines, same old liberals, same old excuses, same old Democrats.
The member from Nicollet, Representative Johnson C.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I'm really pleased to speak at this moment because I'm a proud DFLer from North Mankato, Minnesota, and I'm a proud person who really placed a lot of my emphasis on rural economic development. And I think I've consistently over my career in this House worked for a real transportation bill to help rural Minnesota, help all of Minnesota. But I want to talk about rural economic development today. We need good paying jobs in rural Minnesota, and I think that's well understood. And indeed, a lot of people have said, well, this is the session of greater Minnesota to focus on that. Well, roads and bridges are an important part of that. They really are. I think everybody in rural Minnesota knows that. And I'll be honest with you, where I live and in rural Minnesota, I think there's a real strong understanding that we need new constitutionally dedicated money. And indeed, the townships are part of that. I'll get to that in just a moment. This bill that's come to the floor has $167 million less dollars for roads and bridges than the bill that left the floor of the House a couple of weeks ago. In other words, it's a step backwards. But when I think about economic development in Minnesota and rural Minnesota, right away I go to agriculture. That's the base of the economy, certainly along the Red River Valley and throughout southern Minnesota where I live. And then when I think about agriculture out in the countryside, the roads that really feed agriculture, that start the first road that grain goes on after it comes off the field is on a township road. And the townships are not satisfied with this bill, and they're not satisfied because it absolutely does not come close to meeting the needs that they have. The townships have acknowledged that they need about $20 million a year to maintain the roads that they have. We've got a lot of township roads out there. Who's on those township roads? School buses. The people who live in the countryside and those grain trucks. They know that they absolutely need more money, and this bill absolutely does not do it. So what's the option for them? To raise property taxes. Just as the counties had trouble funding their roads, and so what did a bundle of counties in Minnesota do? They raised the sales tax. So what we've done as a legislature, we've said, well, we won't take on the tax issue because we're scared of that. We won't acknowledge it. We pass it down to the counties. We pass it down to the townships. It's not the right way to do it. If we're going to promote agriculture in this state, one of the very first things we got to do is make sure that first road that grain truck rides on, that grain truck drives on, is a high-quality road. And again, townships acknowledge they need $20 million a year just to maintain those roads. This bill does not come even close to meeting that need. I live in a regional center, and when I look at rural Minnesota, especially in my region, I see other regional centers as having the potential for those good paying jobs that rural Minnesotans want and need. I think of towns like Newman, I think of towns like Hutchinson, I think of towns like Wilmer, places in Fairmont. And I think of towns where there's a lot of places where there's opportunity to grow good paying jobs, new industry, advanced industry that can provide the kind of wages families need to survive in rural Minnesota. The Corridors of Commerce program was developed several years ago. I want to give kudos to my colleague, Representative Hornstein. He recognized the need we had in rural Minnesota, that the regional centers were unable to connect themselves, that the connectivity between regional center to regional center through high-quality highways was a fundamental infrastructure that we needed to improve economic development opportunities in rural Minnesota. One of my big disappointments about this bill is that there's new language added to Corridors of Commerce that will fundamentally alter the program. I've talked with the Minnesota Department of Transportation. They really believe strongly that if this language is adopted that's in this bill, it would make uncompetitive the request for projects to connect regional centers like New Ulm, Hutchinson, and Wilmer. And because the insistence on a criteria that favors the metropolitan area where there's more traffic and there's fundamentally more traffic would give them a distinct advantage, which would likely siphon off the money for Corridors of Commerce, the one option we have to improve connectivity between our regional centers, and then not allow us to grow the economy in those regional centers where there's really a lot of opportunity. Furthermore, this bill is cutting Greater Minnesota Transit. In a time when there's an emphasis on more Greater Minnesota Transit, development of that transit where I'm living, there's a cut of about $14 million in support for Greater Minnesota Transit. That Greater Minnesota Transit can help workers get to those jobs that hopefully we can develop in rural Minnesota. The choice has been made, and Representative Petersburg referred to it, that the idea is that it's a policy. The choice of policy is that let the roads compete with schools and services and other needs in the general fund. For some reason, the Republican Party feels that that's a good idea. Okay, I'll respect that. You think that's a good idea. I do not. And we saw the evidence yesterday in terms of a long-term problem and a short-term problem. Last night, when the conference committee met again, they took some money out of that highway distribution fund, as per the questioning earlier today. It shows the fragility of that money going forward into future years if we're depending on general fund. If we could take it last night when we've got a big surplus, what do we do in those years when we don't have a surplus? We can't count on that funding for roads and bridges in Minnesota when we're depending only on the general fund to fund it. And on the short term, we saw it on this floor yesterday, where we could not cover inflation for our public schools. We could not. The choice is to make roads compete with our schools, and then we can't cover inflation for our public schools. And where we could not provide a pay raise for any of the personal care attendants out there, the people who care for people with disabilities. No pay raise in the bill we passed yesterday, that was passed off this floor yesterday. That's what competition of general funds for roads does to services and basic education needs that we have throughout the state. It's a dangerous precedent to set. It's not the approach to go. I really believe, and I believe this strongly, I've talked about transportation a lot in my career here, but also certainly at home. I really believe Minnesota wants a compromise on the transportation bill. And I really believe that we have an opportunity with this bill particularly to demonstrate to Minnesota that we can do it. We can work together on both sides of the aisle and craft a bill that works for both ways, that can accept the premises that are made by both parties in terms of funding, particularly for roads and bridges. And so as we move forward, I hope we can accomplish that. I think we can keep working in that. I encourage us to keep working at that, a genuine compromise that also includes new constitutionally dedicated funding for the roads and the bridges. This bill does not provide that. This is not the compromise that Minnesota is looking for. I encourage a no vote.
The member from Brown, Representative Torkelson.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, members from both sides of the aisle, for your vigorous debate of transportation. and transportation funding. First, I think you all have a copy of the Constitution in your desk. I don't ask you all to get it out, but in the Constitution it says, "There is hereby created a trunk highway system which shall be constructed, improved, and maintained as public highways of the state." The question here is not the source of funding. The question is the willingness to prioritize transportation spending as being critical to the success of our state of Minnesota. No one in this state, whether they're going to school in Mankato or whether they're going to their job in Richfield or Bloomington or anywhere else in this state, gets there, and by the way, you don't get your food at the grocery store either, without a road. We need to prioritize transportation as one of those critical legs of the stool that keeps Minnesota healthy and working. There are 33 other states in this union that utilize the general fund for transportation. And somehow it seems like we pretend that we don't. It's a fallacy. We've always used general fund dollars for transportation. There's a number of dollars in our base spending, but also every time we pass a GO bond that is used for any kind of transportation project, those bonds are serviced by general fund dollars. We've spent hundreds of millions of dollars through the years on transportation, and they've come out of the general fund. To pretend that we don't is kind of putting your blinders on. I need to clear up issue brought up by one of my fellow members of the All Paul Caucus, who said that the chamber is not in favor of this bill. I got a note directly from their lobbyists. They are not taking a stand on this bill. They are not opposed to this bill. And I anticipate that as we continue to work through the process, we may see even broader support from the chamber. Corridors of commerce. Representative Johnson came to me yesterday with some information that I wish he would have shared sooner, and we may still continue to work on that. But the truth is, the history of corridors of commerce has been 50-50 spending between greater Minnesota and the metro. I see nothing in this bill that changes that procedure. We're going to get money out to greater Minnesota. We have $50 million in cash to do the work on some of these projects that requires cash. Plus, we have $300 million in bonding, a significant amount of money. We also have $300 million in trunk highway bonding for the rest of the system. The issue of Greater Minnesota Transit. Greater Minnesota Transit is dear to my heart as anyone else's, but when I look at the fund balances at the Department of Transportation, there is $27 million just sitting there. It's not working for anybody. So while we do maintain and increase the ongoing funding for Greater Minnesota Transit, we're sending a message to them, to the department and to those who care about Greater Minnesota Transit to utilize the resources that are available. None of us can afford to put resources in a box and wait for them to be utilized. We need to utilize them in the short term. Members, passing transportation bills is hard work. It's difficult. You don't have to look back very far in the history of the state legislature to see just how challenging it is to put the pieces together to pass a transportation bill and to find significant dollars to do the work we need to do on our systems here in the state of Minnesota. To describe a $50 million increase in funding for the Met Council as a cut is just another conundrum that I can't quite figure out. $50 million is a significant amount of money, and how you make that a cut, I really don't know. This bill funds projects all across the state of Minnesota. It brings general fund dollars in to do the work that should be a priority for this state. It also, of course, utilizes the existing dedicated funds, authorizes their use in a variety of ways. To vote against this bill is a vote against transportation. Members, please vote green. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
There being no further discussion, the clerk will take the roll. Clerk will close the roll. There being 75 ayes, 56 nays, the bill is repassed as amended by conference and its title agreed to. Motions and resolutions.
A copy of this order has been placed on each member's desk.
There are copies of the non-controversial motions at the House desk and online. If there's no objection, we will take action on these motions first. Hearing no objections, motions prevail. Motions and resolutions.
Yes. Thissen moves that the rules of the House be so far suspended that House File Number 1065 be recalled from the Committee on Civil Law and Data Practices Policy, be given its second and third readings, and be placed upon its final passage.
Recognize the member from Hennepin, Representative Thissen, to your motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, we're coming up to the end here, and as you know, the governor has indicated he's likely to veto many of the omnibus bills that you're sending, that we are sending to his office right now. We're going to be left with a very few days. And I just worry that we're going to be facing some of the same kind of time crunches, lack of public transparency and accountability that we've seen for the last several sessions. What House File 1065 does, and I do have an amendment to take out a portion of it once we suspend the rules. But it's a bill that would require a couple of things that I think are very important, especially for those of us members who aren't in those behind the closed door meetings. First of all, it would require 24-hour notice before we take up any bill for final passage on the floor, whether that's just a regular bill on the calendar, whether it's a motion to concur, or whether it's a conference committee report. And I've heard from members on both sides, as well as many members of the public, saying, why don't you get a chance to actually read your bills, understand what's in them, and let the public understand what's in the bills as well. And so I think that's a fairly common sense step that we could take right now to avoid what I think we all see coming in the next 10 days. It would also address conference committees. It would require 12 hours notice of any meeting and notice with an agenda of what's going to be taken up at that meeting before the meeting could convene. It would require that a final report, the thing that we're going to vote on to bring to the House floor in a conference committee, would have to be posted 12 hours before a vote could be taken on that, so the public can actually see what's in the final bill, so that all of the conferees and all the members could actually see what's in the final bill. And the bill that we just passed, the conference committee report that we just passed right now, is a good example of why we need to make this reform. That bill was taken up last night after we adjourned, so probably after 9 o'clock. It had substantial changes in how the money worked, substantial policy changes that no one knew about, no one had seen before. It was voted on around 10 p.m. And it was signed and posted at 11 p.m., and then we take it up today. Not enough time for the public to weigh in, not enough time for everybody on this floor to understand exactly what's happening. So a very good example of what we should be avoiding as legislators. And, you know, with 10 days left, certainly could have been avoided. We could have posted that bill for 12 hours, taken it up today, and then posted it today and taken up the bill tomorrow. So there's no reason we can't have a better process if we insist on that. And the last thing that I think is important is that at the time you're going to actually take up a conference committee for its final report, you would have to take public testimony at that meeting. You know, these things are negotiated behind closed doors. Things pop in at the last minute. And if there's not a chance for the public to actually weigh in, we don't have a chance to make the very best decisions we can make. So I would say, members, that it's really right now that's the perfect time to take up this kind of reform legislation that I think all members of the legislature would appreciate. I think members of the public would appreciate. It's really about accountability and sunlight. It doesn't impose that great a burden, and to the extent it creates a burden, it's a burden we should be willing to take upon ourselves to actually do our work well. So members, I would encourage you to pass this bill today, and to suspend the rules so we can pass this bill today and send a message to our constituents that we actually believe in accountability, that we want to do the process right, and that as we close out these last 10 days, we are going to take responsibility to give public notice before conference committees close up and before we take bills up on the floor, so we at least have 24 hours to review what's in these bills and actually understand what's happening. And I'd ask for a roll call.
Roll call being requested, and seeing 15 hands, there will be a roll call. The Majority Leader, the representative from Hennepin, Representative Pepin.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and the former speaker over there. As you know, the House rules required 12 hours to post the transportation bill. We did that, so it was a nice little speech you made. But regarding this bill, I would ask members to vote against suspension of the rules. This hasn't even had a hearing in civil law. I think it needs to be vetted. Today is not the day to suspend the rules, so I would ask for a no vote.
The member from Hennepin, Representative Thissen.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I do want to acknowledge Representative Scott, because she has expressed interest in these reforms, and I think is including in her bill at least a study of moving forward on some of this stuff, including the data practices issues that we would delete when the rules are suspended. But to the Majority Leader, just one correction. I'm not talking about the 12 hours before the posting before we can take it up. That we have in rules. I think that should be 24 hours. That's what this bill would do. I'm talking about 12 hours notice before the conference committee can meet and actually take up the bill in conference committee, because that's when amendments can be made. That's when the public can actually weigh in and try to influence the legislation. Again, I think this is pretty common sense, and I would hope that everybody would join, especially the point about us having 24 hours to be able to review the bills and for the public to know what's in the bills. I don't know why anybody on this floor would oppose that. Thanks.
Further discussion? Further discussion? Seeing none, the clerk will take the roll on the motion to suspend. Clerk will close the roll. There being 57 ayes and 74 nays, the motion does not prevail. Announcements. The Minority Leader, Representative Hortman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Would the Majority Leader yield for a question?
She will yield. Representative Hortman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Representative Pepin, I wonder if you could give us an idea of the lay of the land for tomorrow, the time you plan to come in, the amount of time you expect for our caucuses, and then how you expect the day to proceed.
Majority Leader Pepin.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and Representative Hortman. We are going to come back in at 10. We'll likely do the same thing, have a recess for caucus and potentially rules. And then, depending on what the Senate is able to do, we may take up the additional 3 bills if we have them back from the Senate. So hopefully they will be able to get that done, and then the intention would be to take up those 3 remaining conference committee reports.
Representative Hortman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Representative Pepin. How long do you expect our initial recess to go to? What time do you expect to come back in and take up bills?
Representative Pepin.
Representative Hortman, I don't know, we can talk more about it later, but maybe a couple hours, I'm not sure.
Representative Hortman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Representative Pepin, for agreeing to yield. Well, I just would ask that as soon as you have information about that, that you communicate that to our caucus and make it public. I think days in the end of session are fluid and things can change quickly, but as soon as you do have notice, so that we can give notice to other people and people who are coming to observe our proceedings who might not need to travel to be here, so that they can make their plans as soon after we know what's going on, as you have the ability to notify us and the public.
Representative Pepin.
Thank you. We will continue to communicate with your Chief of Staff our intentions. Of course, we don't have the information from the Senate. Again, we have to wait for them to act. So we don't have the ability to tell you right now when that is going to happen, because we have to wait for the other body. So we will do our best to keep you posted as we know.
Representative Freiberg.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Will the Majority Leader yield for another question?
She will yield. Representative Freiberg.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Majority Leader Pepin, the Rules Committee recessed earlier today rather than adjourned. Is it your intention that the Rules Committee will meet again today?
Representative Pepin.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. No.
Announcements. Member from Sherburne, Representative Knobloch.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Ways and Means Committee will meet at 5 o'clock this evening in room 200 to take up the two bills on the calendar. Republican members of the Ways and Means Committee will meet at 4:30 in room 454. Regular Ways and Means Committee at 5 o'clock, room 200.
Minority Leader, Representative Hortman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. DFL members, we will caucus from 4:15 to 4:45 in our caucus room here in the Capitol.
Further announcements. Representative Pepin.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. I move that when the House adjourns today, it adjourns until 10 a.m. Thursday, May 11th, 2017.
Representative Pepin moves that when the House adjourns today, it adjourns until 10 a.m. Thursday, May 11th, 2017. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. The motions prevail. Representative Pepin.
I move that the House do now adjourn.
Representative Pepin moves that the House do now adjourn. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed. The motions prevailed, and the House stands adjourned until 10 a.m. Thursday, May 11th, 2017.